But then I'd have days when I didn't do anything for 3 days. You've been doing like private clients at 5K for 90 days, and now you're doing this thing at £49 a month. Are you mad? And I'm like, yeah, but I feel good. I feel in alignment. I'm happy. And he reframed it really well. He said, there's loads of time in my life when I've not had any money, but I've never been broke because
Mm.
I've got my brain, I've got my health, I don't have enough anything, I'm not attractive, I'm not lovable, I don't have enough self-worth. And as a result, that triggers their biggest fear, which is that they are not enough and that they won't be loved and that they'll be excluded.
Before you listen to the podcast, please subscribe to our channel and tell us in the comments below, who do you want us to host next on our podcast? This is something that I'm doing for the first time. I do not know Lee very well, but I know that he's definitely one of the best guys for transformation fitness. But as I figured out, that's not the only thing that he wants to do. Lee, happy to have you here. How you doing, man?
Yeah, very good. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity.
It's a first time that I take somebody that I know almost nothing about onto my podcast, but that is the beauty of it. Um, the reason why I start, well, way ago doing podcasts was to get people to know better and get more info. And I think, if there's a camera next to it and we talk about it, people might get some useful information out of it as well. And I wanted to talk to you about your history, what you have been onto in the
Yeah.
past, what you're onto right now, and let's see where this is taking us. Good, man. So let's the process begin. Where are you from, actually? So I believe it's UK, but where exactly?
Yeah, so I currently live in a town called Worksop, but I've lived all over the UK. I was born in Cambridge.
Oh my God, yeah. The scholar town, so to speak.
Yeah, Cambridge and
So,
Cambridge and Oxford are the two kind of top universities in England. Yeah.
yeah. How did you end up in the fitness industry? What was your you know your tick, because something has to be calling you, in my opinion, so that you move into the personal training sphere and end up coaching people how to live a better life.
Yeah, so it's a very long journey on and off really because obviously all throughout my early years I played rugby, I played cricket, I played tennis. I was in love with sport. Played rugby to quite a high standard when I was very very young, 14, 15 years old. And then went to university, played rugby at Leeds. And that was when I first became a personal trainer. I think it was in 2021. I might not be right there. I was studying sports science at university, but the kind of journey with weights had happened when I was 14. I started playing men's first team rugby for a club called Hitchin, and I was very, very quick. I was 11.8 over 100 meters in boots on grass, the old
Okay.
school kind of grass running tracks at
Yeah.
school. I've never seen them. But as soon as I was going onto the pitch, it was like I had a red flag on my head and I was just getting battered and injured all the time. It's like, he's quick, we can't catch him, let's hurt him. Because I was like 9 stone, 9 stone wet through, but very, very fast. And I started lifting weights. I was with obviously a lot of bigger lads, a lot of older lads. And, in hindsight now, actually caused my body quite a lot of damage through not understanding how to lift properly. I mean, we're talking 1996. So
Yeah.
there wasn't a huge amount of education. There wasn't YouTube. There wasn't social media. You listened to the guy in the gym who had the biggest chest and told you what to do. And actually, a lot of my biomechanical issues, I still believe, have come from that area. Kind of 3 years of bench pressing with my anterior delts and not understanding why my chest hadn't grown, and then I ended up with, a body like that for a few years. But I then I trained on and off throughout that period. I then worked as a I qualified as a personal trainer. I worked at David Lloyd's in Leeds. I did the
Mhm.
NASAM qualification, which is the National Academy of Sports Medicine in California. And that was very much the first real entry into properly learning about, core stability and biomechanics and different muscle groups and how the body worked.
Yeah.
I just kind of, but then that career kind of stopped at 20, 23, 24 when my music career took off, DJing took off. I had a nightclub for a number of years and
No way.
that whole journey kind of stopped. But I was actually laughing about it the other day because it's a really honest comment, this, and I think it'll probably make a lot of guys laugh and a lot of guys with the similar things. And you might not know these shows, but I think from such a young age, because I was so small, and I did kind of get bullied quite a bit at school. So I just began watching things like Karate Kid, and I was watching The Kickboxer and guys like Jean-Claude Van Damme, and I was like, right, I want to look like them, and I want to learn to fight as well. Um, which I did do for a period of years. And then it kind of progressed into things came out like Gladiators, and then like Baywatch was the show. And it's like, you remember, like all guys will associate with this, like
Oh,
you're
yeah.
like 13, 14, and you're seeing like these guys like, David Hasselhoff or Eddie Warlock and Matt Charvet or Hunter Gladiators going through, and you're like they are cool and they always get the hottest girls. So I'm like, I want to look like them. So that was honestly, there was a little bit of adding size for rugby, but a lot of it was just teenage vanity. I'm like, I saw these, like so many of us did, or we saw Arnie's body and we're like, God, like these guys are like gods. Like I want to, my dream career at that age was to be a lifeguard on Malibu Beach in LA.
No, you enjoy Baywatch that much?
So I'm sure is a very different career in reality than it is on
It
Baywatch. Much
is.
like
It
kind of
is.
being a police officer and a detective isn't what's seen on TV. But yeah, kind of rolled through that period, and got in decent shape and was had a decent level of self care. And then when I had the clubs and went through that period, I never got out of shape really when I was. Um, DJing and touring and running clubs, but it did slip a little bit. And then rugby was still going well, and the big event that led into the career that I'm doing now is in December 2012, playing rugby for Sheffield Tigers. I broke my neck. I ruptured C4 and C5, which was quite a bad injury. Misdiagnosed a couple of times. I always tell a funny story because I was obviously taken into hospital, and I'd pulled my arm into this position and I couldn't move it. I couldn't move it out. I'd kind of driven home like that. I finished the game, believe it or not. And I was thinking, I've just really kind of jarred my neck, and I was like this. And it was misdiagnosed a couple of times at the hospital until I ended up getting rushed in because they thought I was having a heart attack because my wife at the time was so concerned. And the first couple of guys that I saw, they were like, "You've dislocated your shoulder," and I'm like, "Mate, honestly, I've played sport for like 20 years. This is not a dislocated shoulder. The dislocated shoulder, the physio snaps it back on in the pitch, and we
Move on.
carry on." Um, so after then being misdiagnosed twice, I was sent to see my wife at the time. This is quite a phenomenal story, really. My wife at the time was the secretary for an orthopedic surgeon called Mr. Farham, and obviously her mum was very, very concerned. And Mr. Farham said, like, bring him to my office at this hospital now. And after being misdiagnosed so many times, I walked in like that. And he went, "You've ruptured C4 and C5. It's pressing on the nerve. That nerve controls this finger, this arm, all the way down here. So you're pulling that limb as close to the nerve as you can to try and reduce the pain. You need to go for an MRI scan now." MRI came back exactly what he'd said, word for word. I hadn't even got like 3 feet into his office. He hadn't done any tests. He just looked at me and just knew. So I was then rushed to a different hospital and saw a incredible surgeon, Hungarian by the name of Mr. Kimini, and he said, "We're going to make an 8-inch incision through your neck. We're going to remove the spinal cord. We're going to take out the two ruptured discs. We're going to put a Medtronic cage in around your spinal cord, and we're going to zip you back up. And I was like, oh,
You're
like
kidding.
balls hit the floor. Well,
Yeah.
the balls hit the floor when he said, "I'm going to put an 8 incision in the front of your neck." You can't even really see it now because it's cut
Yeah. Yeah.
in the like a necklace. Um, but to be fair to him, he then I love telling this story because it's so cool. He then looked at me straight in the eye and he says, "But I've done it." He said, "I think it was that there's a one in 1,000 chance I could kill you. There's a sorry, a 1 in 100,000 chance I could kill you. A 1 in 10,000 chance I could paralyze you. But I need you to know that because I've done this operation 1,200 times and I've never messed up once." And I'm like, right, take me down. And then completely different to how how surgery was, a long time ago. I was very lucky at the time. I had private healthcare into hospital. Next time I wake up, he stood there with an iPhone showing me my neck that's, you know, been put back together. So um, I hit some very difficult times after that because obviously, rugby was what I did. It was what I looked forward to at the weekend. Yourself sports clubs, they become,
You lose a piece of life with it.
yeah, like a family. You go training on Tuesday and Thursday, and some people come out of sport or professional sport and that they still stay involved and they go and watch the games and they become physio. It's just not for me. To me, it's like looking at your Christmas presents but not being able to like play with them. If I'm at rugby, I want to play rugby. I have no desire to watch rugby, and that might seem quite selfish, but it's almost putting yourself in a situation relentlessly from a mindset angle that's reminding you of something that you can't do that you used to love. To me, it's like going to see your ex who you still love every Saturday for 90 minutes, but she doesn't love you anymore and you can't do anything with her. It'd be soul destroying. So went into quite a heavy period after that. I was um, still running, still doing clubs. I was still DJing and just lost my way altogether. And then February of that year, I also lost my granddad, who was like my dad. My mum died when I was 6 months old, and like my dad left fairly early after that. So he was like the number one man in my life. He was like an absolute legend, a colonel in the army, like I'll tell you a couple of stories later, but everything that I am because of him, because of his honesty, his mindset. He was the first person who ever said to me, and I talk a lot about neuroplasticity and programming in young children. He always said to me, Lee, you can achieve anything you want in life as long as you put your mind to it and do the work. And so many amazing stories that I could go through. This is when the full-on ADHD will kick in. Little things I was telling someone the other day, like I remember when I was playing good, very, very good standard rugby at 14 years old. A lot of people were blowing smoke up my arse. I remember playing a game against a club called St Albans, and I think I'd scored all 36 points. And the coach and the club captain was very, very proud that his 14-year-old cult protege was doing all this, which was nice. Um, my granddad was the one person who always pulled me back and grounded me. And I remember him pulling me to one side after that game and saying, I need you to have a lesson today, boy. He always used to call me boy. And he says, there's a fine line between confidence and arrogance. And you're starting to step over it on the pitch every single game. And you're starting to step over it in your personal life. I suggest you reestablish where that line is and get back on the right side of it. Because otherwise, one, you're not going to make it. And two, people aren't going to like you.
Wow.
And then just walked off. And I was like, I've remembered that word for word to this day because it was so meaningful. And I think very much with like clients that we work with, it wasn't what I wanted to hear at the time because I was loving the
Yeah.
golden boy era, but it was exactly what I needed to hear. Um, and the other story that I always tell was I also played cricket for a local cricket club called Ickleford. Um, Again, very similar story. I think I was 14 or 15, again, playing men's first team cricket. I was a good cricketer. And I got to 50 and it was unheard of a Colt to get 50. I carried on batting. I got to 96. Everyone was stood on the balcony of the club watching. I can remember it clear as the day. And I tried to absolutely smash a spin bowler straight out of the ground for the 100. Got stumped out on 96. And I walked back, and again, that same story. Everyone was clapping and cheering, and the saying blowing smoke up your ass. She literally dragged me by my shirt as soon as I got into the clubhouse and just said, "What an absolutely ridiculous thing to do. You've batted for nearly 3 hours for 96, and then you do something that stupid because you were more concerned with the people on the balcony than you were with what you needed to do on the pitch."
Yeah.
I was like, whoa. About 4 hours later, he did eventually say, "Well batted, boy." Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it was another, and it's him who got me through. He got me through university. Him and Nan, I should say. So it was very difficult for them. They lost their daughter, who was my mum, when she was 29 years old. So that happened. Um, and then as a kind of result of my destructive behavior at the time, he died. Rugby career was over, and then got divorced. And that was that like kind of rock bottom moment. It's like, what am I going to do here? And I just sat down, and I'm like, clubs isn't working. Like this is just leading me down a path that's not going to end well.
How old were you?
At that point, I broke it in 2012. That was February 2013. So 33 years old. Um, and I do massively believe in the universe and the law of attraction now, and how there's something so much higher than us that's controlling everything outside of our actions. And I don't really watch a lot of boxing anymore, but I did. And a fight came on TV when I was recovering, and it was Kell Brook, who's a boxer from Sheffield, and an old guy who I knew very well, David Stacker, was Kell's nutritionist, and he was carrying Kell's belt into the ring. He just won a title fight. So that was like the moment I messaged Dave, and I was like, "Mate, I've just seen you on Sky TV. Like, what's going on? This guy's is a real high level nutritionist." And I told him what was going on with me. He says, "Come on, let's get in the gym next week." I said, "Dave, I'm only like, this was March 2013. So I was only less than 3 months out of the surgery." And we just built things back together step by step. I owe him a lot. I learned most of 95% of what I know about nutrition from him, and just went through a phenomenal transformation. Did a photo shoot at the end of that year, competed in a physique modeling show, competed in Fit Factor, all within 24 months of breaking my neck. And it was that life changing moment when, at the same time, I then got into mindset as well as fitness and
Mhm.
nutrition. Books like The Secret by Rhonda Byrne and Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill,
Yeah.
books changed my life. And I just remember sitting down one day, and I'm like, God, I was there 2 years ago, and like now I'm here. Like I want to have this impact on other people. And I was obviously becoming quite unhappy at the club anyway, and just gave it up overnight.
Let me ask you something. So, going into that mindset, nutrition, fitness kind of thing, what kind of a role did your mindset that you've got from your granddad play, in all of that? How many times have you been thinking back on these words,
Yeah.
that it's a
Just
fine line between confidence and arrogance?
just relentlessly, but more and it's crazy, obviously, 5 years ago now, 4 years ago, when I was diagnosed with ADHD, which I still see as a blessing. It's just made everything make sense for me.
Mhm.
It made me understand that my brain's a superpower, not a pullback. It's just
Yeah.
it operates in a different way, and I need to learn how to use it. For me, it's a Ferrari, but I just had a Ferrari that I didn't know how to drive, so I
Yeah.
kept crashing it into walls. But going back to that point with him, and this will make you laugh now, when you realize that something's been there your entire life, but you've not been aware of it. You know how you hold a cricket bat when you're looking down about to play your
Yeah.
shot?
Yeah.
He engraved "concentrate" next to the Gray Nichols logo. So that
No.
every time I put my bat down to set myself for the shot, I read the words "concentrate," because he knew if I didn't, then I wouldn't. So it is a reminder. He picked up on that Lee's a great batsman. He just doesn't concentrate. He hits 12, he hits two fours, and then he wants to hit 40 fours on the trot. And if not, what's the point? Kind of thing. So a massive role, but the biggest role of all is, you've heard that phrase before, give me the boy at 7 and I'll show you the man, so to speak.
Mhm.
And I coach in from a neuroplasticity angle that, essentially everything comes from a thought. So we have a thought, and that thought might be, I can achieve this or I can't achieve that. That thought becomes a belief. So we believe we can do it or we believe we can't do it. That belief then leads to how we behave. And how we behave and the habits we create leads to the life and the reality that we live. Like that chain for me is almost perfect in every human. And I say this is all the time. This is why so many people can't lose weight because they don't think they're ever going to lose weight. So, and it's not about this wishy-washy law of attraction stuff like, oh, I can think myself to my perfect weight.
Yeah, that doesn't work
No,
like
you can't. Rhonda Byrne says that in The Secret. I'm like, can you fuck? Like, stop talking shit. Like,
Mhm.
manifestation followed by action. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Manifestation not followed by action equals nothing. But so, he had said that from such a young age. Like I can just hear it ringing now. Boy, you can achieve anything you want if you put your mind to it and do the work.
yeah,
He didn't never miss that last bit off the end. And this, it's emblazoned across gyms, isn't it? If you think about it, you can achieve it. And you need self-belief, but it has to be backed by action. And that's the key thing that he taught me. And to come at it from a slightly different angle, like I believe in manifestation, I believe in the law of attraction, and I believe in deeply visualizing your future on such a level that you believe that you already have the house, you already have the relationship, you already have the car. But the only point of doing that is so that you feel continually inspired to do the work.
mhm,
Just visualizing it, like, mate, what the fuck off. You're not going to meditate and visualize yourself to
yeah,
anything if you never take action. Dan Meredith said it's great. He says, he's was a little bit more direct, but he says, a finger up to manifestation and a thumbs up to action.
yeah, yeah. Let me drive you back to the ADHD. How was that diagnosed for you? Where did you go to? How did that look like for you?
So I'd gone like looking back now, I hadn't ever even really considered it or it wasn't even something that's on my radar, and it's something that's become quite what's the word I'm looking for, quite fashionable now, hasn't it? There's a lot of people that are self-diagnosing themselves, and just because they think they're a little bit hyper or they get distracted easily. Oh, I must have ADHD, and then it becomes a crux for doing everything or an excuse for not doing everything. But mine was getting to a level, so even when I wrote my book that was released in 2000, like a body transformation secrets book that was released in 2017. And it was done so quickly. It was done in 12 weeks. We went to Tenerife, we proofed it and re-released it. Like I was relentlessly focused on it. And I got a lot of stuff done very, very quickly. I
Mhm.
built businesses very, very quickly. But then I'd have days when I didn't do anything for 3 days, 3 full days, to the level where like Nat would come home and she's like, "Babe, what exactly have you been doing today?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And there were like parts when I couldn't remember, but there were also parts when I had actually, set out with the tasks and some list for that day. But then it's almost like imagine like 100 different tasks that are like a domino, and I got distracted from the first one and did a different one, and then that led to a different one, to a different one, to a different one, and I hadn't done any of the things that I had to do, but I'd done loads of stuff.
Yeah.
Like I hadn't been not busy. I'd been busy all day, but pretty much busy
Doing
doing
nothing.
something. But then even when someone would say, "Like, what were you doing today?" I'm like, and it seems sometimes it can come across as rude for someone who doesn't understand it. I don't remember. Of course, you remember what you're doing.
No,
And
you.
like in those moments, like I didn't, and like I used to kind of fall out with two of my partners in the club sometimes, um, because I remember putting an event on as a promoter, and selling nearly 5,000 tickets across two venues on Halloween, which was amazing. That was what I was good at. That was what I was creative with. That was what I was enjoyed. And then the more we went up in the club and it became a serious business, it was about like VAT returns and complaints and procedures. And like, I just didn't want to fucking do it. So I
Mhm.
would just be annoying. And I remember them both saying, do you know what? Do you know? And this has gone right through from school now because I've traced it back. Even teachers saying it, business partners saying, when you're doing something that you love, Lee, you're an absolute dream to work with. If it's something that you don't want to do, you're a fucking nightmare,
Mhm.
like horrific. Um, and it is hard in business because it's as a business partner in and I feel a bit bad for him now. So I've had several business partners and then not got any partners now. Um, because I would outline like Steve was my business partner in music. I'd set some tasks that I needed him to do at like 9 o'clock on a Monday. And then if they hadn't been completed by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'd get pissed off and do them myself and then ring him and tell him I'd done them. He'd be like, mate, fucking hell, like,
Yeah.
like, do you know what I mean? And it's very frustrating when things are going that fast and you can get it all done, and then you get really frustrated and angry people because you're like, why can't you operate like this?
Yeah.
Then the next day, it's like, right, like I remember going to a level where like I was in tears because I couldn't write an email.
Mhm.
Like I kept writing the first line and then going back and then writing the first line and then going back and then like overthinking it, and I just couldn't do it. Um, but it's the more you understand, it's like you can either live from a mindset of, oh, I can't do anything because I've got this, total victim, or you can live from like, right, that's why I do that. What can I learn and how can I improve moving forwards?
How did you? Because I definitely, I mean, with all of what you're saying right now, I feel you, bro. I know it all too well.
Yeah,
I've had days where nothing's work, nothing. Literally sat down in the office. I was behind a desk and a computer for a long time doing nothing meaningful, you
yeah.
know? Just
Because
it
you're bored.
seemed
You're bored.
not I, yeah, yeah, might be. I I would just you're searching for something, you're doing things, but it's nothing really done.
Yeah,
You know, I'm facing this since forever. And yeah, I mean, I was writing when I was writing my book, that was in well, it was a bit over 2 years ago, and I just had to,
yeah,
and it ended up like a 640 pages certification manual for PTs,
yeah,
and it was done in a bit over 3 months, working from 8 in the morning until 2 in the morning, slept for 4 to 5 hours, then go again. It was like every day like that, so I could do it. But I need that kind of pressure to be able to
yeah.
perform in, in that manner. And that's awful. It's
So it's
actually
almost
awful.
like, so you've got like, so you'll be, I saw a meme about this other day, and Nat actually sent it to me because she was like, this is you in a nutshell. She's
Yeah,
like, you have like 3 months to do this task or this thing that I've asked you to do. And that actual task takes 3 or 4 hours, but you wait until the 45 minutes until it needs to be submitted, but you still manage to get the 3 hours work done in the 45 minutes and finish it on time and then high five yourself.
yeah,
It's like a different, like even like I won't like obviously I toured a lot when I was DJing, but holidays like we've got two family holidays this year. I will not pack until the morning before the flight
yeah,
because to me it's my brain's just different. If I try and do it the night before, it's not urgent enough. I'm going to forget stuff. It's not really important. There's other stuff I can be cracking on with. I
mm,
know my clothes are, but I know it takes me less than 15 minutes even before the driver's coming to pick us up to take us to the airport,
yeah,
that I can write a list and pack all my stuff and get it all done. And then it will be perfect because it's fresh in my mind because it's important. Like 24 hours before, it's not important. It's like, she'll be like, how can it not be important? We're going on holiday tomorrow. I'm like, it's not important. It's not up the top of my list right now.
yeah. What did you do to solve that? So what's your strategies to overcome it?
So massively blocking down distraction. Have I got one? I don't know if I've got one here. Yeah, so I created my own planner as well, which I now give to clients. But that's got like it's literally it's almost like a guide for my day. So it's like my morning routine, it's my morning journal. How do I feel physically? How do I feel mentally? What can I do to improve this? And then obviously critically, what's
Yeah,
today, what's today's most important job? So I have to write that down. You can't work from a fucking to-do list. It's amateur as fuck because I'll just cherry pick. I laughed about this the other day because I asked someone if they did it and they said, yeah, someone else has got ADHD. Like I could have a to-do list of jobs, right? Loads of jobs there. Cherry pick the easy ones, not do the difficult ones. But then sometimes, like I'll get distracted and I'll do four jobs that aren't on the list, but then I'll put them on the list and tick them off anyway. So I get the satisfaction. It's like they weren't even on, like you've become that, like I can laugh about it now, but there's times when it wasn't funny. It's like you've done four jobs that aren't even on the list. But again, I'll have that there next to me because again, what a lot of people do is like they'll get up in the morning and they'll create their to-do list and you can see it's even got like 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m.,
yeah,
9 a.m.,
yeah,
10 a.m. What are the next three most important jobs? What am I grateful for to do? All my reminders. But what most people do is they get up and they write that down in the morning and then they go
yeah,
and they crack on with the day. It's like that's there almost like, and the way I describe it is what I'm doing is, like a sat nav in a car, right? So I'm putting my destination in of what I need to have done by the end of that day, which is my goals. And then my planner creates the roadmap back. But then I need to check it every half an hour to check I'm going in the right direction and doing what I said I would. Because if you
mm,
just turn the sat nav off, it doesn't matter how accurate the postcode was, you're going to be lost within the first few hours. And I think that's what a lot of people do because and it's worse for me, but there's so much distraction, there's so much drama, people popping off on your phone. Like you'll see even before we had this chat, like I had to go to another room to get my phone because we
yeah,
wanted to set that
yeah.
up as
I know,
well. And
I know.
like
Of
I can't have it like times
course,
at
of course.
times put it in the boot. Like and most even people with most ADHD, they don't it's not an ADHD problem, it's a systems problem. It's like, of course, you're going to get distracted if you've got 17 apps on your phone, you've got 45 tabs open on your computer, and you
Of
allow
course.
everyone in your life to have no boundaries. It's like working out, okay, well, what's going wrong and how can I fix it kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. So basically, what you've done is, as you've said, you took your ADHD and
Yeah,
you created a system that is giving you superpowers with it.
yeah,
It's like a super boost that you get out of your mind
yeah,
to work most efficiently.
yeah. But also the biggest thing that I've not actually heard of a lot of other people doing. So there's a classic burnout cycle. You tend to be able to sometimes go and go and go for sometimes even as long as 3 months. And this is what I used to do when I had a business goal. And then I would just have a complete breakdown. I'm
Mm.
talking, couldn't even work, train, do anything for like, a week or so. But then again, it's like, well, okay, is that such a bad thing?
Mm. I don't,
This burnout cycle. Okay, let's schedule a burnout cycle.
yeah, exactly.
Let's go until we can go and then finish. And it's like that's what I'll say to Nat. Like, if I've managed to get into what I call peak flow with work, like literally do not disturb until till I come to you. Because if I snap out of this, I might not be able to get it back. And then I'll get really angry and I'll get really frustrated because I was in this good place and I was, things were flowing and they're going into point. But the very often you're told like you need to slow down, and I like
Oh,
challenge
fuck
that. I
that.
challenge that, and I'm like, no, you need to speed up.
Yeah, I hate it.
Why are you
I,
telling me to slow down? I like going fast. When I
that's,
need to rest, I'll rest.
man, that is probably the worst advice. And you know who's the most guilty of it? My parents. For
Yeah,
fucking, I mean, my mom, every time where I'm in the zone,
yeah.
I'm working my ass off because I can. I'm just in the mood. Just leave me be. Oh, you need to slow down. I don't need to do shit.
But
I
that,
just need to be
that's
calm.
going back to the neuroplasticity and the programming though. So, like I've said this so many times when like I've worked with a lot of people who I've given them the belief to start businesses. He's Luke Birch, one of my best ever clients. So when he came to me, he was 22 stone. He hated his job. He was working on the roads. And within 2 years, he's 15 stone. He's ripped and he's now got two businesses. He's got a dog grooming business. He just needed someone to give him the belief to say, go for it. And I'm not saying his parents didn't, they might well have done. But so many people I hear and they're like, um, oh, I really want to start this business and they're passionate about it. And they actually believe in themselves until someone actually tells them, no, you need to be careful. No, that's risky. So again, I'm not going to mention name, but another female, I spoke to my mum and dad and they think about it. What, okay. They think it's too risky. So what does your dad do? Oh, he's an accountant. What does your mum do? She's a teacher. Of course, they think it's fucking risky. They've never run a business.
Exactly.
No, why are you asking people who know fucking nothing about a business whether it's a good idea or not? And it's parents don't mean it badly because they're trying to protect you, but like, go for it. Yeah, go for it, X.
Yeah,
You're only young once, and guess what? If it doesn't work out, you'll pay your debts off and you'll get another job.
exactly.
Like,
I mean,
don't
there's always
be careful.
what I've learned. What I've learned is from one of my mentors. He told me, there's one thing in life that is such a thing that you can always make more of.
Yeah,
It's called money.
yeah,
The issue is time because the only thing that you cannot buy back
it's
is
time.
time. But you can always make more money. You can always replenish it. If you're decently smart, you can do it.
Yeah,
And this is just something where I always said, okay, there's some truth in it. Because if you work more, usually if you work more, if you're getting more productive, you earn more money so you can pay off certain things.
yeah, yeah,
But if you're never prepared to taking any risks, there's zero chance to succeed.
yeah,
It's always the risk reward thing. But people just don't want to take it because people would like to have it all, but
yeah,
not taking the risk. Well, so do we. I mean, I bet that you would not take a risk if there would be a way around it.
yeah.
And, you know, so would I. But things do not work like that.
I think it all goes back to that same thing. Then I said this all the time. It's like wherever we are in life now, it's just a result of how we've been programmed, and that might have been programmed by our parents, teachers, exes, the media. Like if eventually, if you're told something enough times, you're going to believe it's a real, and that's just like I said, repetitive thought becomes a belief. Your belief leads to how you behave. Your behavior leads to the life that you live. So
Yeah.
again, it's like if we're either told something or we tell ourselves something. Like I saw a great clip from Tony Robbins, and this guy was talking about how he'd wanted to start a business. He says, "But I'm broke," and he said it about 5 times. And Tony says, "Right, that's the first thing you need to stop saying." Because and he reframed it really well. He said, "There's loads of time in my life when I've not had any money, but I've never been broke."
Mm,
Because I've got my brain, I've got my health, I've got my mind, I've got things that people can't buy. Like, and I think that's people's like mindset around money, isn't it?
mm,
Like I would always say, true wealth anyway is nothing more than a feeling of abundance triggered by gratitude. So we can say two things: I am enough and I have enough. But what do most people spend their entire life either being told or telling themselves? One is that they're not enough. And two is that they don't have enough. That's their thought as soon as they wake up in bed. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough anything. I'm not attractive. I'm not lovable. I don't have enough self-worth. And as a result, that triggers their biggest fear, which is that they are not enough and that they won't be loved and that they'll be excluded.
mm.
And that's often from as early as 2 years old, believe it or not, because random question, see if you get the answer right. What's every child's first word?
Mom,
No,
I don't know. What?
no,
No? Yeah,
no.
because we all tell them to.
So basically, up until 2 years old, you get what's called unconditional love.
Yeah.
Like you can shit on the cream carpet, you can spew down the top, you can do anything, and you just get love. And then all of a sudden, when you start to walk and get about, no, 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 don't touch that. No, no, no. You're just told, no, 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 no. Be careful, be careful, be careful, be careful. Like repetitive
True.
training. And it's not your parents' fault. They're trying to keep you safe. Um, there's another great story we can tell about young children as well. But then all of a sudden, love becomes conditional. Do this and I'll give you love. Go to bed on time and you can have this. Get good results and you have to do things to get love. And it should never really be that child, but those all those things are starting to program in, and that screws a lot of people up because they're like, oh, I'm not good enough for mummy or daddy's love until I do this. And then
Mm.
they're always training themselves like, I'm not good enough unless I do things to get things.
Then you become a perfect pleaser.
Yeah, absolutely. Or you just run that belief that
Yeah.
you're either trying to constantly prove yourself or you're not good enough rather than just operating from, I am enough and I have enough,
Mm.
which kind of goes back to my granddad saying, you can achieve anything that you want. So I was very lucky, very, very lucky, and I'd be grateful for the rest of my life that that was something that was programmed into me. But the other people are programmed, everyone, like, fucking hell. I want to offend some people here, but I don't care. Everyone in our family's always been big. Fuck off.
Yeah.
That is a how can you tell a 14-year-old child everyone in our family's always been big? Yeah, because everyone in your family's always eaten too much fucking food and boozed and not exercised. But you're actually telling a 14-year-old, hey, Johnny, you're going to be fat for life because everyone in our family's always been big.
And no accepted.
No one in our family's ever been to university. All rich people are evil. Good things don't happen to people like us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
People say that as well. Why do bad things happen to good people? They don't. Things just happen to people.
Yeah.
It's like, and then the programming, and we're programming, and we're programming. And sometimes it's not parents' fault, because I believe that in life, honestly. If anyone's taking that offensively, please don't, because it probably came from your parents. And I do firmly believe everyone in life is just doing their best with the tools and the training that they've had up until that point. But
Mm.
at some point, unless you want to keep running those negative beliefs that are leading to you living a life that you don't want to live, then we need to start reprogramming this. And we can do that in as little as 7 days.
Mm.
New thoughts, new beliefs, new behaviors, new life. It works both ways.
Let me ask you something. The reason why we sit together today, well, not exactly together, but yeah, is because you told me when we were talking about we're both in a group and we had a chat and you told me, man, I don't like what people want me to do because there's something else that I want to do.
Yeah.
Remember that? So what is it that you want to do? What is it that you want to bring to the table for your clients? It's not just fitness, is it?
Yeah, no, and it's a total reframe in the minute, total reframe. And I was going to tell you a really strong example in that, um, to go back into what we've just been talking about before we talk about it. I can just hear her having the kettle on downstairs. My partner, Nat's just come in. And this is virtually not an entire career change, but it's a big change for me. And all she said from day one is just go for it, Lee. You're fucking incredible at what you do. Just go for it. Not, we've got this big business in body transformations that's making this. No, we need to be careful. No, we need to protect it. She's gone, I can see you're not happy. Do what you want to do. You're incredible. Just go for it. And that's massive for me. Um, but yeah, I was, obviously we've both been working with Phil. I've been a body transformation coach since full time, really, since this is a funny little story. How long have we got? Since 2017, right? I started working with Phil. I was a PT. And, this is another ADHD thing of not being very decisive sometimes at making decisions or being ridiculously impulsive. Like we've got a shed full of like surfboards and golf clubs and fishing equipment, table tennis, like all these hobbies that lasted about 3 fucking weeks. Before I decided, now table tennis is not for me. I'm going to be a golfer, babe. Oh, are you really brilliant? Yeah, how much is that going to anyway? But back then I was like starting to make good money as a body transformation coach. Like good money was then you were like you were charging like £600 for a 12-week transformation. That was
Yeah.
big bucks.
Yeah.
Like people were charging £99. So we're making all this money doing this, but like I was resistant to quitting being a PT. And feels like, bro, you're making like £600 in an hour for changing someone's life. And then you're going and training fucking fat Janet who you keep moaning about, who just moans all the time for like £45. So he like said to me, it was like December the 13th, I think it was 2017, we're shutting down your PT business. No, I'm like, okay, and we did it. And then I went full time into online body coach. So I've been doing it a long time. We've got over 2,000 published transformations,
Wow.
everything from Simon Baddock, who lost 18 stone, went from 33 stone to 15 stone, bodybuilders, bikini models, professional sports people, your average Joe. And I've always been pushed down this line of you need to niche down. And I tried to do it for 4 months this year, as you know,
Yeah.
working just with business owners, business owners who are busy. And everything I'm doing on social media, I'm like, this is out of alignment. Doesn't feel right. Doesn't feel
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Like, I love helping people. And it might not be great from a marketing perspective, but I don't care if you're rich or poor, black or white, fat or thin, own a business, don't own a business, straight or gay, doesn't make any difference to me. Like, I want to impact people. That's my biggest passion, and that's what makes me feel good internally. Um, and also the whole, now we can go back to ADHD. So I'm like, fucking hell, I can write nutrition and training plans in my sleep.
Mm.
Half the time, I don't even need to write them because I've written 5,000. So
Yeah.
there's one that's very close to what that person needs and just needs a tweak. I'm like, this isn't making me feel creative. It's not making me want to get out of bed and go to work. It's not making me want to feel content. Like something's wrong. And I listen to that now because if I've got that resistance, so, it's hard to stand up to people. It's like, no, you need to niche down. So I've stood up and now said, no, no, I don't.
Yeah.
I refuse to. Um, because my biggest mission is I want to leave something that's a legacy, and I want to globally impact and improve as many people's lives with health and happiness as I can before I leave this earth.
Mm.
That doesn't come from working with an elite group of clients who are paying me £5,000 per person for 90 days. I will help a very, very limited amount of people. Um, and it's, money. I've been driven by money in the past. This was um, another ADHD thing. So when I was working with Kieran from Total Mental Performance, who was the first person who helped me understand it, he's kind of an ADHD mental performance coach who has ADHD as well. And I went through this period like I bought a brand new Range Rover. I bought a 5-bedroom ranch with 3 acres of land. I was wanting to always like date models and beautiful women and really showing off with my money, so to speak. Quite embarrassing now, if I'm honest. Um, but it was all going back to that not feeling loved by my dad. Why did he abandon me? He didn't love me. I must not have been good enough. ADHD is very sensitive as well. There's something called RDS, which is rejection dysmorphia syndrome. So any type of rejection, you feel like you've been stabbed in the heart, like probably the other person didn't even realize they've rejected you. It's a little bit like, I don't know, most people would be like an orange with a skin. You're kind of like you've got the skin peeled off, so it's very, very sensitive. And constantly doing things to prove I was good enough and show the world I was good enough. And Kieran said to me on that day, I'm going off on a tangent here, but he was like, you know your car, you know your house, and you know your abs, and you know your whatever. And I was like, yeah. He went, would you have got any of those if you couldn't put them on your Instagram? And my fucking heart like dropped. And I went, no.
Yeah.
And he was the first person who taught me. And I was like, what does Lee Freeman need to do to get to the next level? Even Phil said it to me once. I was like, I'd gone from like 10K to 15K to 20K to 30K. And then because I didn't get 35K the next month, everything was wrong in the marketing. I wasn't good enough. Like my dopamine wasn't being satisfied. And I remember Phil sitting down with me, but fucking, this is that long ago. We were using Voxer. Do you remember Voxer that you used to voice note on?
Yeah.
And Phil was like, bro, how much money would you need to make to
Be
feel
says.
like you're enough to be happy? Like, and it wasn't even about the money at that stage. It was about the validation and the significance and someone please tell me that I'm good enough. Someone tell me that I'm enough. Someone tell me that I'm good at what I'm doing. And then I learned that I need to get that internally and that I was enough and that I'd always been enough. Just situations and circumstances had led me to believe otherwise. But those situations and circumstances weren't in my control. I can't control what my dad did. And it's gone through that mindset angle now of I can actually say thank you for abandoning me because you showed me how not to be as a father.
Mm.
My granddad then showed me how to be. And now I'm an incredible dad. Like I would say I'm one of the best dads in the world. And I say that with a smile on my face because I'm so passionate about it and it means so much to me. But that's a result of some bad things that happen. So I can go back and say thank you. But back to your point, then going into the mindset stuff, it's like I was feeling those same things this year. And my mindset mastery, which I've launched now, is crazy. It's £49 a month
Mm.
and you get 35 seminars straight away. You get a morning mindset message, a long form copy that I write every day, and you get a Q&A every month, but it's on a group level. And people are like, what? Like, you've been doing like private clients at 5K for 90 days, and now you're doing this thing at £49 a month. Are you mad? And I'm like, yeah, but I feel good.
Yeah.
I feel in alignment. I'm happy what I'm doing. And it's like, I know I can charge that for that. But if I'm not happy, and this is one thing I think people can take away, like if you're not, I don't care how good your body is, who you're dating, how much money you have, what car you drive in, how much K you're making per month, how much cash you're collecting, which seems to be the latest phrase in the industry. 30 grand PIF paid in full, cash collected. Da, da. It's like those things are cool, like as goals, but if you're not feeling okay in here, they just become meaningless.
Yeah.
And then that's when you'll go into that dopamine of chasing and chasing and chasing, especially if you are neurodiverse, because the only thing you've got to make you feel good is the next payday or the next car or the next house or the next model. And that's a fucking dark place. And that's where I was when it really kicked in. Like I didn't know how to feel happy without cars, houses, money, all of that. And then it's like, right now I've learned to get this from within. And the most ridiculous thing, it'll be like so cool for us to like touch base, I reckon, in like 2 years, 3 years, maybe even 5 years, because now I'm operating from a place where I'm doing what I love. I love mindset. I love teaching people how to overcome limiting beliefs, how to rewire their minds, how to think different thoughts. And I've achieved some amazing results without taking people from addictions and suicidal to living their best lives. I think I played that voice note in the group, didn't I? When that woman was like,
Yeah.
at 50, she said to the message, she was like, You're a miracle worker, Lee," which I don't think I am, but she just hadn't been aware of these things. But she was like, I'm 50 years old. She'd had a lot of stuff happen. Her son committed suicide. She'd struggled her entire life, but she'd never been opened up to how to change your thoughts, how to rewire your brain. And like the impact on her from her seeing a video and her sending me that message, people will sometimes say it's bullshit when you say things like this. That voice note versus 10 grand, I'd take that voice note every time because I just felt like almost like euphoric. Like fucking hell, that she's been like virtually suicidal for 50 years. She's watched this video that I did and it's completely changed her life. And to me, that's then becomes like money becomes irrelevant. But
Yeah.
I now believe with the research that I've done on mindset, now I'm operating from this place, I'll probably attract more money than I ever have without trying.
Mm.
I'm not chasing it.
That's it. That's a different life, man.
I'm sharing what I love. I want this, I want mindset mastery to be a legacy. I want all those videos and that course to be sold years after I've
Yeah.
left this earth. and them still to be impacting people. And I think it's the first time when it's like, now I feel aligned. Now I feel good. But it was a tough road to get there because your head's resistant. Yeah, but you've got this thing that's safe and profitable, and that's what our brain's hardwired for, to keep us safe.
Well, Lee, I believe that's a good point to finish off today. We'll definitely sit down another time, talk a bit more. I
Yeah.
love that. I will ask you to give me all the links that I can put in the description down below so you guys can check it out. You can sign up for Lee's new program. I encourage you to do so. He's an amazing guy. As you could see in the past, probably around 50 minutes. I don't keep the time anymore. But yeah, so just check in. Lee, thank you. Thank you for taking the time away today to sit down with me. Amazing stories and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, big thing is if anyone like just Lee Freeman UK on Instagram, and also if anyone wants to get in touch, um, whether they want to come on board with Mindset Master or anything at all, there's something you're struggling with your mind that's making you really, really unhappy and it's keeping you awake at night, just drop me a message, tell me what your biggest challenge is, and I'll almost without any doubt, I've been filming these videos for nearly 7 years now. I will almost certainly be able to send you a private video that will help you with whatever you're struggling with for free.
You definitely got to do that. Guys, thank you for watching and see you in the next one.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate your time.
If you like this video, then click here to watch more of videos like that. If you have not subscribed to our channel yet, please click here. And don't forget to tell us in the comments below, who do you want us to host next so that you get the guest that you want?